Last time we had all the parts of the game except what's highlighted in yellow. The method where you give the object the text that the user typed that corresponds to which page they wanted to choose. And the object figures out which actual next page to return so that the user can go there. To think about this, it helps to visualize how the information is actually stored inside a page object. There on the left, we've got our variables. Choices is a list of the text that the user would type for each possible choice. And then next pages is a list of actual page objects. And these two lists correspond to each other. So the text that's in location 1, go right, corresponds to the ogre page, which is also in location 1. So whenever the user types go right, we'd want to find where that is in location 1 and then return the object in location 1 from the other list. Our start page only had 2 choices. So what that means is that each of these lists has length of 2, and the location numbers, because they always start at 0, are 0 and 1. If we'd chosen to add more possible options, it might look like this. So here I have 4 possible options from a page, and possibly more, as indicated by the ... So one version of how this code could work would be it takes as input a string, which is what the user typed, and what the code does is it loops through this array one at a time and asks, is what the user typed the same thing as the text in location 0? No. Is it the same thing as location 1? No. Is it the same thing as location 2? And if the answer is yes, then it knows what object to return. If the user actually typed stay put, then we'd want to return whatever page object is in location 2 of the next page's list. And I've chosen to name that start page 2. This isn't actually quite how we've implemented the code so far, but let's type in this much and then modify it so that it actually works. So here we are in our code. This is the page object, and then at the very bottom we have get next page for choice. User choice is the name of the string that's the input. So this is going to be whatever the user typed that represents their choice. So the strategy that I just described was, let's loop through each of the possible choice texts, find which choice text actually matches what the user chose, and then return the corresponding object. So I'm going to start from location 0. My locations are going to go to the end of the choices list. Is it called choices? Let's double check. Yep, choices is here. So choices.size, and then location ++. So that's going to have this location variable start at the beginning and loop through all the location numbers. So what I want to do is get each choice out of the choices list. So choices.getLock. And what that does is it looks up whatever string is inside that choices list. And now I want to ask a question. I want to say if the user choice equals that particular choice we're looking at right now from the choices list. If those are the same, then I know that the user must have typed that particular choice. So I would want to return the same location, but from the pages list. So is it called pages? Let's double check. Next pages. So we'd want to return next pages dot get location. Okay, couple things to fix here. I've used a double equals sign for clarity, but this actually won't work. You can only use the double equal sign when you're comparing Boolean or numeric data types. If you want to compare strings, you have to say dot equals, which is a method. Okay, so now that much is going to work. Oops, extra parenthesis. But let's actually run it again and notice something. Here's what the code looked like, and it says type the number for the choice you want. It doesn't actually have me typing the text itself. So the code that I have, whatever I type, it's going to check what I typed against the actual text for the choice that came from the choices list. It's not going to check the number. So let's ignore our own instructions here and let's type what the code is expecting. So if I type go right, it looks like it worked. So now it says there's an ogre on a pile of rocks here. So that's good, because what that means is it's looped through the possible choice texts and it found the room that actually links to that choice text. And we haven't added other rooms yet, so that's why there are no choices from here. All right, so let's stop it. If you like that way of organizing your code, you can go ahead and change the text that says type the number of the choice you want, and instead you can just have it say type the choice you want, and then maybe remove the numbers so that the user isn't tempted to type a number. Otherwise, if you actually have them type a number, you can simplify this code a little bit. If the user is just going to type the number that corresponds to the choice rather than the actual text of the choice itself, we don't have to visit every single location to test to see if the user text matches the text from our choices list. Instead, imagine it this way. The user is typing a number like 1, and so that's what is going to be inside the user choice variable. So we don't actually need all of that looping. Instead, all we need to do is convert the 1 from text into an actual integer, and then use that integer as the location to return the page. Because the one that they typed corresponds to the choice number 1 from the choices list, which we displayed to them. And so we don't have to look it up anymore. Now all we need to do is have the user, the user's already told us what page they want, and so now we just look up that page in the pages list. So let's do those steps. Here, I'm going to first convert the text of the user choice into an integer. So I'm going to say int choice equals integer.parseInt user choice. And then I'm going to return from my next pages list, I'm going to get the page that corresponds to the location number of their choice. And that's it. So let's try and run it again now and make sure it still works. So we see the same welcome. You see a path to the left and the right, only this time I'm going to type 1 to go right. And there it says there's an ogre on a pile of rocks here. So it still works. Come back next time for cleaning up a couple of things and making it a little less fragile.